Hello everyone, my name is Cole. Today I'm going to be doing a care video for leopard geckos. So there you go. Welcome to ClassyHerps. Alright, to start out with, if you didn't know, this right here is a leopard gecko. This is my male Elvis, okay? He is a full-grown adult, and leopard geckos are native to Central to South Asia, so that's Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, those kind of places. So they're from a pretty desert, dry area. In the winter times it can get down to about 50 degrees, so they have to go into a semi-hibernation thing, which is called brumation. So in the winter time it's okay to let their temperatures drop, but in the regular year I keep mine at about 90 degrees, but you can go about 85, anywhere 85 to 90 degrees. At the back spot, back there you see the heat tape, and that's only just a partial bit of their cage, so they need a cool area so they can go to cool off, because these are nocturnal geckos, lizards, nocturnal animals, so they don't come out in the daytime when it's real hot. They stay underground most of the time. So like I mentioned, because they are nocturnal animals, they don't need UVB, which makes them a very awesome animal because they don't need that special lighting like some animals do. Makes them super easy to care for. They're one of the most popular pets in the reptile pet industry, just because how little they are, how easy they are, and just how naturally tame and nice they are. Also, because they're nocturnal, it is actually better to keep them out of windows and stuff, because they don't really like the light, because if they could, they'd go underground to where it is dark. So they like it kind of dark. They don't like pitch black dark because they have to be able to tell day from night, but they do kind of like shaded areas. So don't put them right in your window where it's going to be bright and everything, and that's just going to bother. Alright, so what he is in, what I keep mine in, there's so many choices you can keep leopard geckos in. So what I keep mine in is basically the basic, most simple setup you could possibly do. This is a Sterilite tub. It is 28 quarts. Right there, you see that. And I have just drilled holes along the top for air. And in here I have paper towel, water bowl, a little thing for him to play on or whatever, and he's got a little hide, and you see he's right in there right now. So what I'm going to do, because I clean this once a week, that's about all they need, once a week cleaning, I take out everything, take him out. Okay, and every week when I clean their cage, I always weigh all my animals, just to keep track of them for my purposes. And it looks like he is 77 grams. So on my paper here, his name is Elvis, so I'm going to write down 77 grams, right there. And he can just sit in there because he's a pretty good gecko. He'll stay calm, take everything out, set it somewhere, take this trash can, and just dump it. Okay? There you go, clean. If there's anything stuck on the bottom like this, sometimes there's stuff stuck to the bottom, just scrape that out. And then put new fresh paper towel in each week. Don't slack on that. Rinse out your water bowl like I did, and then give them brand new water. Even if there's still water in the bowl, just do it because it's good. Okay, fill it up. Okay, put the hide back in. Right, I keep the hide on the back side because he does spend some time in there, and that's right on the heat, so he can chill out in this little dark cave and stay warm. Sometimes he goes in that. That's just there in case he does want to do something. And then I just take the gecko and I put him right back on in there, and he'll probably just run right into his little cave, but there you go. If you're wondering, he is a morph. He's a tangerine tornado leopard gecko. There's different names. It's a tangerine line. He's got a carrot tail. You see that. There's a bunch of different morphs. Why leopard geckos are so highly wanted, because they're just so pretty. And you know, some things about leopard geckos that you need to know to watch out for is how much your leopard gecko is eating. So you're gonna feed them are crickets and mealworms and a lot of insects. Okay, and here are my female leopard geckos, and they are in a bigger tub. It's like a 41 quart, I think, Sterilite tub also. And I can have 2 of them in here. I'd say 2, and 2, 3, 4, whatever. You could probably keep quite a few in these big tubs like this. But, you know, honestly, I'd only do 1 in those 28 quarts. So it's the exact same setup. I have a toilet paper roll. This is a little bowl. Sometimes I give them mealworms and they just sit in there. There's a cricket. You shouldn't feed them so many crickets that they just sit in there, because if the geckos don't eat them, the crickets start eating the geckos, and that can be really bad for your animal, obviously. So you don't want to feed just as many as your gecko consume in one feeding, which would be like 10 minutes at the most, you know. and if they still have crickets running around and stuff, then you fed them too many. Alright, so here's what 1 week's of poop looks like from 2 geckos. It's quite a bit. They eat a lot, let me tell you. I have a different hide in here. Here's one of the girls. It has the exact same setup. Here is what I have in the girl. This is actually a moist hide. This is something kind of important. I don't have one in my male's cage right now because this kind of switches out in between them for whoever's shedding. Because you kind of have to have this in there. It gives them some moisture so they can go in here if they want to, get wet and shed. Because whenever they shed their skin, they need a little help with the moisture. It helps them get the skin off. So you need that in there. Okay, so here's my female leopard gecko. She's a blizzard, and here's how you can tell you have a healthy leopard gecko. Okay, first thing you want to look at are their tails. Now you see her tail is really fat. That's a nice plump tail. Leopard geckos store almost all of their fat in their tails. So if they have a fat tail like that, that means that they're fat and healthy, because if you're fat, you're healthy, okay? Another thing to look at are right in their armpits, right behind their front arms, are these little sacs. You see that? Well, when she moves, there should be a little bubble right there. You see that little bubble right there under her armpit? Don't be worried. That is where they store a lot of their calcium. Actually, most of their calcium. So if they have a nice little fat sack like that, it looks kind of fat. It doesn't look healthy to me, honestly. They can suck it in, I think, because when they get worried, it kind of goes in. But when they're just chilling out, it kind of really flops out. So if they have a really bulgy armpit sack, then you have a nice healthy gecko also. So those are a few things that you want to look for. And geckos' tails can fall off if they're threatened, because that's just their natural defense mechanism, because it'll keep flopping and hopefully distract the predator that's trying to get them. That's not good, obviously, but it's not going to kill them most of the time, because their tail will grow back. But remember, like I said, they store all their fat in their tail, so they lose their complete fat supply, almost all of it. So they're going to be really weak for a while, and they're going to have to work really hard to regain all of that. They've worked their whole lives building up that storage. And that's really necessary. If you're going to breed your gecko, be sure that it is nice and plump. Its tail is nice and plump. Also, concerning food, you need to dust every few feedings with calcium. I use without D3 because they're nocturnal and they don't need that sunlight. So, but you can give them D3. It doesn't really matter. To me, I guess it doesn't matter that much, but I go without the D3. Just coat the crickets or worms or whatever you're feeding them in it, and they'll eat it. Sometimes they don't really like it. Sometimes they'll just spit their food back out, but it is kind of necessary to have it, especially if they're breeding, because it takes a lot of calcium from a girl to breed. Okay, like I always say, you need to do your research more. If you can, go on the internet, because there's a jillion people who have posted things on the internet about how to care for leopard geckos, and each one's going to have a different opinion, because there's no real right way of keeping them. What you need to do is go around and look at all the different people's opinions on how they do it, and then come up with your own, and find a way that works for you. So another way, if you don't have the internet, which again, I don't really know how you'd be watching this video, but there are books out there. Like this one is a very good book. It's Leopard Geckos, complete guide to, I don't know how to pronounce their scientific Latin name, but that is what a normal looks like. It's yellow and black spots. Okay, again, here's my other female, and you see how fat her tail is. I keep my geckos fat. So, there they are. They're one of the few geckos that have eyelids, so they do blink, and that's really cool. If you want something really cool about them, you can see clear through their heads, through their ear hole there. They just have a thin membrane in the middle, but you can see light on the other side. You guys can see that, but that's just something that I noticed right away when I got them, and I thought it was just awesome. Another thing, they don't have teeth, so sometimes they will attempt to bite you if they're not quite as tame as you want them to be in the beginning, but you can really hold them a lot and they will tame down very nicely, believe me. They can just make great pets, but if they bite you, all they're going to do is like gum you, and it's not going to hurt, so don't be afraid. But if they do ever bite you, don't jerk away, because you can like throw out their jaw, or you could do a lot of things if you jerk away while they have you in their grip. But other than that, they're pretty cool little creatures. Very easy to care for, believe me. If there's someone who can't care for this, then you probably shouldn't have an animal. So, and humidity, you can just keep it at room humidity. Besides when they're shedding, you need to give them some Repu-Bark, whatever. You can see there's a piece of shed in here. They eat their shed, which is something kind of interesting about them. They eat their shed, they rip it off, and they eat it. So, don't be alarmed if you see your gecko ever doing that. That's natural. That's been about it. If there's anything I missed, please leave it in the comments. I don't think I missed much. I didn't go into huge detail because, like I say, this is not the only video that you're gonna watch, right? You're gonna watch a bunch of videos. If you're only watching videos, please don't just watch videos from YouTube, because there's some stupid people on YouTube. No offense to anyone, but honestly, oh, she might get that cricket there. Never mind. But you need to read on the internet, you need to read some things, you need to read some books, you need to know what you're going to do. There's a lot more stuff you need to know about these guys than what I mentioned in this video. This is just a basic outline, okay? There you go. One more thing, you can keep leopard geckos in aquariums, of course, and you can do those however you want. A lot of people are going to tell you it's okay to use sand, and I've used sand myself, and I have found that it's not good for your leopard geckos, because it is okay most of the time, but you're taking the risk that if they go after a cricket sometime and they get a mouthful of it, that sand, when it gets in water, it clumps up. Right? It clumps up in their stomach when it hits that digestive juices, but it gets wet, you know? You know what sand does when it gets wet? It clumps up. Okay? And it gets in there, and if they have enough in them, it can clog up their whole system. And that's going to stop them from eating, that's going to stop them from pooping, and that's what you call impaction. And there's not a very good chance that your leopard gecko or any animal is going to be able to survive that, especially without surgery. It's going to have some kind of medical procedure to get it out of that, and it still might not live. So you're just taking a lot of chances putting it on some pretty sand. It's just so much better to put it on something safe like paper towel, or just not even any substrate. Or Repti carpet's another good one that looks better than paper towel. So, you know, just a lot of things are better than sand. You can use it, but I would not recommend using it, because I mean, it's just not good. Alright, so my little girl Flo here, she's ready to say goodbye.